Everybody, well, it is time for the weekly matchup show. The Sooners coming off maybe the most stunning loss in the program's history, considering OU's expectations for this year and the fact that they were about a 30-point favorite to defeat Texas Tech. We'll try to bounce back after that stunning defeat and try to take out their frustrations out on Kansas State. Won't be easy because the game will be in Manhattan. Kansas State's ranked 8th in the BCS and undefeated. Great job Bill Snyder's done in Manhattan. It'll be the Sooners and the Wildcats for a 2:30 October 29th kickoff Saturday on ESPN. The Sooners, despite having a loss on their resume and K-State being undefeated, you wouldn't know it by the point spread because the Sooners are expected to win the game by about 2 touchdowns. We'll talk about the game in a second, but first, it's almost impossible to forget about what happened Saturday at Gaylord Memorial with Texas Tech. Again, I commend them for the terrific game that they played. Dahe was carving Oklahoma up like a turkey, and Tech scored 41 in that game and had over 600 yards of total offense. So I do commend Tech, but having said that, there's no question that Oklahoma these last couple of weeks has been missing something. And I think it's been desire. I think it's been heart. I really think it's been just not enough execution. A few years ago when Dennis Green was coaching the Minnesota Vikings and the Vikings had lost an overtime game to Dallas, immediately after the game, Coach Green told his Viking players, "I know that this loss hurts, but the sting of this loss can only last a day and a half." Well, if that's the case for Oklahoma after losing to Texas Tech, the Sooners, even as we speak in practice, are focusing on Kansas State. You know, studying their game film, studying tendencies, scouting reports, and of course, having one heck of a week in practice, getting ready for the Wildcats. That's why I highlighted this video, A Test of Character, because we're going to find out what the Sooners are made of. You know, I wish that this team had about 50 or 60 Travis Lewis's. Now, I'm not talking about Lewis's All-American talent, which is obvious. I'm talking about something that's more important, like discipline, like heart, like courage, like character, that desire to win, that desire to come with your A game every week, which is what Travis Lewis does. And Lewis is not even 100%, but he is out there giving everything that he has, trying to get his team pumped up and showing it with effort and showing it each and every play. Something that we didn't see a lot of the other Sooners do on Saturday. And I'm glad that Oklahoma had an all-players-only meeting earlier this week. Maybe that's what they need, get some things off their chest. But they need to come to Manhattan with their work hats on and ready to play. Otherwise, it's going to be a repeat of what we saw in a lackluster win against Kansas 2 weeks ago and exactly what we saw in that loss against Texas Tech a few days ago. We're going to find out what the Sooners are made of. They can't just show up to Manhattan thinking that they can win this game and turn the on switch on. It's not that simple. It starts in practice. You're going to know if Oklahoma had a terrific week in practice those opening minutes on Saturday against Kansas State. And again, you have to give the Wildcats all kinds of credit for the 7-0 start. 3 reasons why I think Kansas State has been a much better team than anybody in the nation thought. And by the way, give the Big 12 Coach of the Year to Bill Snyder already. No sense in waiting until the end of the year. Number 1 has been Collin Klein. Kansas finally has a really good quarterback, something that they haven't had since Josh Freeman. Collin Klein is very smart, very athletic. He makes Kansas State's offense go. If he goes, so goes the Wildcats. And in a little bit on the 4 keys, we are going to show you one play of the zone read, which Oklahoma is going to get a lot of. But Collin Klein, he's the team's leading rusher. And again, Kansas State still doesn't throw the ball a whole lot and don't throw it for a lot of yardage. But so far, they haven't had to. They're rushing over 200 yards a game, about 215. And Collin Klein's the biggest reason why. Number 2, the turnovers. Kansas State, if you take away that opener against Eastern Kentucky, the Wildcats have only turned it over twice. That's 2 turnovers the last 6 games. You're going to have to earn touchdowns against Kansas State because they're not going to turn it over. That's been proven. And I think, number 3, their defense has improved. Their defense has improved because, you know, the last few years, their defense has been very vulnerable. But Rush defense for Kansas State is one of the best in the country. I think they're 13th in the country against the run, giving up just under 100 yards rushing per ball game. So there you have it, Kansas State. And I know one of my longtime bloggers, Nathan for KSU, I don't think he's going to be able to get any sleep the night before this game because he's stuck with the Wildcats true and true, and you got to be happy for a guy like that. But I know he's going to be pretty pumped up for this game on Saturday, and hopefully OU will be pumped up as well. Highlight the 4 keys to this game. We'll go over key number 1, OU get back to the run. They only had 25 rushing attempts against Texas Tech. Expect that number to go up. I wouldn't think there'd be any problem with Dominic Whaley this week. He had stomach problems last week, so he didn't see any playing time at all. It's going to have to be him and the Roy Finch show. They can get a lot of touches, and they can get a ground game going against Kansas State. Then you can attack Kansas State's passing defense, which has been vulnerable this year. But it won't be easy to attack that rush defense because, as we mentioned, they're one of the best in the country. And by the way, one player to really give it up for Kansas State has been Arthur Brown, their linebacker, a transfer from the University of Miami. While his brother Bryce has been a disappointment so far as a running back for Kansas State, Arthur's having one terrific year. So you got to give props to him. To Arthur, that is. Number 2, biggest key in the game is going to be containing that steady diet of Collin Klein. You're going to see zone read, and here's one example of it. Something that Oklahoma can expect to see quite a bit of on Saturday will be the zone read, as in this example. As you could tell in this goal line situation against Kansas, the Wildcats have just one man in the backfield, but 2 receivers lined up on the left side, and as I start the play, there's going to be a man in motion that'll also be going toward the left side. Now I'll freeze it because you're going to think that this play is all going to be geared toward the left side. That's the deceptive part of the zone read. I'm going to stop it right there because it looks like that the Kansas defensive end, who's untouched but by design, as well as the corner, have both bitten into this play. Klein sees a wide open alley and as a result keeps the ball himself and scores untouched. Oklahoma must be able to contain plays like this in order to win. And again, that's the zone read offense, which OU, again, is going to be a steady diet of that. Number 3, I think key number 3 to this game is going to be getting that special teams swagger back. The Sooners, last week, shaky week as far as the special teams. We talked about it on the post game a few days ago. The missed field goals, as well as giving up a sizable kickoff return to start the game against Tech, which would lead to a Red Raider touchdown, and then the fireworks for the Red Raiders accelerated after that. Kansas State 2 weeks ago, big reason why they won at Tech was special teams, returning a kickoff for a touchdown and also blocking a couple of field goals. And Oklahoma, be aware of Tyler Lockett. That's right, the son of former K-State great Kevin Lockett, dangerous receiver because of his speed and also returns kicks. So special teams cannot be a weapon at all for Kansas State. If it is, that could lead to a second straight upset against the Sooners. And I think key number 4, be aware of the comeback cats. Kansas State has come from behind in 4 of their 7 games this season in the second half. In 3 of those games, K-State came from behind in the fourth quarter. Kansas State's not going to be fazed by trailing in this ball game. The home crowd won't let them get unraveled, and K-State themselves, Bill Snyder, won't let them unravel. They're used to playing from behind. So Oklahoma, don't think you have this game in the bag just because you might have a 14 or 17-point lead. Kansas State has thrived off the comeback this year. Final thoughts on this game. The Sooners, no question, didn't play with enough desire last week. They didn't play with enough heart. And again, I've mentioned it, I will keep mentioning it till my lips fall off my face. They'll need that Saturday to win at Kansas State. And I'm not going to doubt Bob Stoops. I believe they'll have a terrific week in practice. The environment in Manhattan won't be friendly for Oklahoma, but I believe they will have the heart and they will find ways to beat Kansas State. They're the more talented team, the better coached team, and I think they will prove to themselves and to the country that Oklahoma football is just fine. 34-21 is my final score prediction. Oklahoma to get that swagger back and beat Kansas State and hand the Wildcats their first loss of the season. I'll have my post game either late Saturday or early Sunday. Boomer Sooner.